Hi, guys. 1 second. All right. How are you guys doing? Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Soul Sanctuary. We have an amazing, amazing talk ready for you guys today. Whew, I'm nervous. I am super de duper nervous. Today, we're going to talk about something pretty intense, just pretty intense. First and foremost, before we begin this intense conversation, welcome to the Emmie Evolving channel where we are having the Soul Sanctuary podcast. If you are watching me on YouTube or Facebook, hello, you guys. Just really quick, I'm really loving, really loving knowing where are you guys watching or listening to me from? What country or region are you in? How did you find me? And how long? How long? How long have you been with me? I love to see like sometimes I think that people don't realize just how big of an impact they have on me and my journey just by being present. And there's been so many times where I've totally like, when did you find me? And then I realized you've been here with me for years. Oh my gosh. Some of you have been with me since basically the very start. I started live streaming. Oh gosh. I want to say it was 2016ish. I want to say that's when I started live streaming. So some of you have been with me since then. You guys remember me from way back in the day. And for those that do remember me from way back in the day, thank you so much for still being present. Thank you so much for still being present. Today, we're going to be talking about my story as a healer. Gosh, golly gee. I have I have such a reaction to the word healer. It's been such an intense journey for me personally. You know, personally it's been this thing of like, oh, do I call myself that? Like what uh it has me like, oh my gosh, what am I? Who am I? What is this? What is your definition of a healer? First and foremost, let's define it really quick. All right, so a healer is defined as a person who seeks to cure diseases or heal injuries by means other than conventional medical treatment. A person or thing that mends or repairs something that alleviates distress or anguish. Ugh. I guess by technicality, by definition, I am a healer. Absolutely. I typically don't refer to myself as a healer. My story, my journey has been one that has been very challenging. Very challenging. A lot of the challenges that I've faced as someone who, I'll say it, someone who others see as a healer has been very much an external projection of my internal need to self heal. Many of us are healers and we don't even realize this. Why don't we realize this? Well, because we think that we're not capable, we think that we're not allowed. Despite the fact that I've been capable of doing things that technically are considered healing, causing the cessation of pain, symptoms, helping repair diseases, misalignments, all sorts of different things that have been documented over the years. medically documented. Um, I struggled so badly with being so different and so aware of how different I am from everyone in my environment. I never had an awakening moment. I never had a this like woke this moment where I realized I was woke. I didn't even like that term. um I didn't have any of that. I've kind of just been the way that I've been my entire life from childhood. Now, I'm a very specific type of healer. Okay? There's so many different ways that you can help someone to heal. It's more than just physical. It's more than just physiological disease. Oftentimes, healers don't recognize that they're healers because they're only helping with emotions. Emotions are a major component of the development of physiological disease. It's a major, major component. And oh, ain't that something? Facebook stopped my live stream. It's all good. um a major component of being a healer is having gone through so much in your own life, having experienced so much and having gotten yourself through it. Excuse me. Oftentimes, people who are healers don't lean on others. Is it because they're so strong and they don't need anyone else? No, not at all. It's because they're so sensitive. They don't want you to have to struggle to fix them, to help them. They don't want to be a burden unto you and your heart. They don't want you to know how badly they hurt. Healers oftentimes are the ones who hurt the most deeply, yet most silently. Okay. So you have to allow yourself to take a seat, to sit really quick, allow yourself to kind of just breathe and ask yourself, is her story resonating with me? This concept of I'm capable of seeing people to the deepest degree, and it hurts me. It hurts me so much that I can't leave you that way, that I can't survive the thought of knowing you're hurting. And so I have to help in whatever way I can. Is that you? Are you a healer as well? So oftentimes people who have a very elevated level of service that they're, tasked to kind of do during this lifetime. Um, if it's elevated, well, I should rephrase this. The more elevated your purpose, the more profound and painful your struggle, your lessons, your growth is. And this is throughout your lifetime. Okay. There's no one moment where you're going to be like, oh gosh, I was hurt. Oh my gosh, now I'm a healer. I feel like a total jerk for putting it in that way. But it's true. It's true. This is something that you've always been an overly sensitive child. Many energetic healers, they struggle with sensory integration problems. Okay. They struggle with a whole bunch of sensory based issues. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're broken. That just means that you're very, very sensitive, that you have the capacity to reach such high levels of frequency, of awareness. It's that elevation in your capability that makes you so much more potent in the work that you're going to do. So, my mind goes everywhere. So it's not like some chronological thing we're going to be doing today. Looking back at my life from childhood, I could feel a lot of things from a lot of people. A lot of what I went through caused me to become very introverted in real life. People might think that I don't seem so introverted. I say this so often. I'm in a room by myself, talking to myself. Yeah. I I've become aware since I was a small child. People can tell I'm different even if I don't say anything. And the moment I begin to speak, it becomes even more clear. And many people become very uncomfortable. They become afraid. I still don't know why. I don't know why, because I'm the last person that would ever hurt anyone. So I never knew why. Some people have tried to help me understand this over the years. They've said things along the lines of people can see, they can feel, that you can see things about them that they don't want anyone to know. And I'm just like, well, why? That's like the most beautiful parts of you. It's not normal for me to be in a person's presence and fixate on their darkness, their malignancies, their toxicity. No, we all have that. We all have that. If you're thinking that you've worked through it, quote unquote, done the work, and that you don't have any of that, that tells me that you don't probably know what it is that you're talking about, because we all have that. We all have toxicity to some degree. We all have shadow and darkness to some degree. Toxicity, shadow, darkness, distortions, those things are not intrinsically evil. It's the field of intent that creates the evilness in whatever it is. So, toxicity, that's a byproduct of being in an environment that is not in alignment with who you are and what you need. And sometimes, if you look at it from the standpoint of homeopathic medicine, like for like, poison for poison, right? Um, you have a high fever, and don't self-diagnose and don't take plants that you don't know things about. You can really harm yourself. But if you have a high fever, you could take something like belladonna, which is extremely toxic, and it will cause your fever to spike and reset. People will be like, oh my gosh, why would you want your fever to spike? Well, so your body will reset itself. It's the same concept in modern medicine. Why do you use a defibrillator on someone's heart? When you shock them, it halts their heart. It doesn't jumpstart it, it halts it. It causes a cardiac arrest type moment. And if your heart, if your brain, if all of these different things, the vagus nerve, all of that, all of these different aspects of you are functioning properly, your heart should reset. It should restart itself. It should halt and then lub dub, lub dub, lub dub. It's the same type of thing. And it's almost, gosh, I hate to say this, it's almost a given that those who have a very high calling, and I don't mean that as you're better than other people or more important. I'm saying those who are positioned to serve to a much higher and deeper degree. Oftentimes, your early life, your middle life, your life at large is extremely chaotic and extremely difficult. Extremely. And it has to do with this concept of trauma induced accretion. I coined this phrase, trauma induced accretion, because this is what I see time and time again. I see it in my life, I see it in everyone's lives, where whenever it's time to reach a higher level of understanding, of awareness, trauma will be used. Trauma will be used. I'm not saying it's okay for people to treat you poorly. I'm saying recognize that people who are capable and willing of delivering the trauma, they're capable and willing to deliver trauma into your life, to inject your life with trauma. They are allowed to cross your path. And their capability and willingness is utilized by your soul to trigger a process. So, my journey, right from the time I was born, I was a premature baby. I was born emergency C-section. I've been a fighter. Since day one, I was a fighter. I don't really know what was happening, but story goes, I never really moved while my mother was pregnant with me. And she wondered if she says this. I was like, why would you say this to me? She used to tell me that when she was pregnant with me, she wondered if I was an alien. Yes, I am. But why would you say this to me? So she used to wonder if I was an alien because I never moved. She never felt me. And then the day that she had the emergency C-section, uh, she said that I started kicking so hard that she knew something was wrong. And so they rushed to the hospital, at which point they did an emergency C-section. I was in distress and I had almost burst through her uterus. That would have meant we both would have died. Um, as soon as I was delivered, they did a full hysterectomy. There was no salvaging her uterus. I broke the mold. I broke the mold. I was like, no one's coming after me. It's just me. That's it. So that's how I was born. That's how I was born. I am born from trauma. That doesn't make me less than anyone else, though. It just makes me more capable of understanding. They say that people who have elevations in psychic abilities experience some form of electrocution early in life, like before they're 12. I've shared before in public live streams that when I was I think I was like in kindergarten. I'm pretty sure I was like in kindergarten because I was still really, really small. Um, I got electrocuted. I was playing with the owl nightlight. We were doing a sleepover at my grandma's house. And I was playing with the owl nightlight, unplugging it and plugging it back in. And I didn't realize my fingers were touching the prongs. And, it didn't dawn on me until I was speaking to a good friend of mine years later, actually just a couple years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. And she's an electrician. And I told her about this because I was like, should I have been able to like let go? Because I've seen movies where, all your muscles will tense up if you're being electrocuted. If it's an open current, your muscles are all going to contract. You won't be able to let go. And she was like, how the hell are you still alive? And I was like, well, I let it go. And she's like, oh my God, how did you do that? Well, I just let it go. I opened my hand and I let it go because I was seeing the light. The whole room lit up from my face. And she's like, were you burned? No, I didn't have any marks on me. I pretended I was asleep because my grandma said she was going to beat our asses. In my language, of course. No bad words, no bad words. She said she was going to beat us, me and my cousins. Everyone else was asleep. I was the only one awake. So I didn't want to be the only one beat. I decided to go to sleep. I decided to pretend I was asleep. So she didn't know who did it. But yeah, things like that. Annie's asking, so you're the youngest of your siblings? Yes, I'm the youngest and I'm the mama bear. I'm the youngest and I'm the mama bear. People often think that I'm like the oldest. I'm not. I'm the youngest. So that's early life. I remember being a very young child, elementary school, and being able to see things that other people couldn't see, hear things that other people couldn't hear. And I just knew that I wasn't supposed to say anything to anyone. I just knew. I knew that it would scare them. I knew that it was something that I make people feel uncomfortable. When I'm too honest, when I tell you what I sense, oftentimes people will become very afraid of me. So I learned from a very young age, don't do that. Don't do that. No one will notice just how different you are. I mean, everyone already knew that I'm not like a regular child. I didn't speak like a regular child. I didn't behave like a regular child. I didn't enter into any type of childhood type um, behaviors and stuff until like, I don't know, 3 years ago. I'm serious. And until like I started live streaming what in 2016ish, 2017, and I didn't start entering into a childhood until maybe 2018. I think that was around when? Around 2018. And I don't know what happened. Um yeah, I just woke up one day and decided I'm done being serious. I'm done using my sarcasm as a way to hide my seriousness. And I'm like just gonna I'm just gonna be me, and I'm gonna be having fun, you know? So I've never been normal my whole life. Again, I never had an awakening moment. My memories go back to before I was a year old. I used to have a photographic memory. Um, I mean, there was no way you were going to see me as a normal child. There was just no way. There was no way. I remember I remember my family being irritated with me because I was in preschool. And I was just hell bent on forcing them to teach me to read because it was just inefficient waiting for them to be in the mood to read to me. Read to me what? Encyclopedias. Encyclopedias. I just, um, we went to, it was either Lucky's or Alpha Beta, their grocery stores. I don't know if I don't think Alpha Beta is still around. I think it was Alpha Beta though. I still remember exactly which one it was. I think it was Alpha Beta, and then it became Lucky's afterwards. So Alpha Beta, we were by the meat section, and it was one of the end caps, and it was this whole Charlie Brown. It was a Charlie Brown like end cap with like snacks and whatnot. And my mother, being someone from a third world country, was totally like, they just charge you more because of the stupid children type decorations on it. We're not buying that, right? And I would always try and get her to buy me the children's snacks, but she's like, you're getting the adult version. It's the same snack. You don't need the character on the box. So I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to ask her anymore. Well, this end cap, we walked past it, and I started like, bomb, because I was riding underneath the shopping cart. I still remember this clear as day. I was riding under the shopping cart where, like, you put all your canned drinks and stuff. Yeah, that's where I was laying. She thought it was okay. So I saw at the very bottom of the shelf were these book series of Charlie Brown. And I knew she wasn't just going to get me any Charlie Brown book because I was total bookmonger. So I saw one that was medical. It's teaching children about the human body. My mother's a nurse. I'm groomed for medical. I was groomed to be something in the medical field. Once upon a time, I was going to be a surgeon. That's what I wanted to become. And so I tell her to stop. I put my feet out of the cart, and she says, and I quote, "Putang ina," which means mother effer. Yeah, in my language though, no bad words. She yells, "Putang ina," and because I put my feet out. Because she needs to stop. She needed to stop this mother freaking shopping cart because I see a Charlie Brown book. And it was, I distinctly remember I crawled out from under the cart and I grabbed it, and I was like, I didn't really do tantrums in stores, but I was fixing to have one right there. I considered it. Like, I will seriously cry and scream like I see all the American children do. We were told, you're not American, don't be trying that. Yeah, no, they told us that when I was growing up. You're not American, don't be trying that. So we knew not to try that stuff. But she saw it. I handed it to her. She saw that it was medical. She goes, okay, don't do that again. And I was like, okay. So I'm reading it under the shopping cart. And that was like my most favoriteest book for the longest time. And my most favoriteest book for the longest time. And it became this thing of, when you're in the medical field, if you're a nurse, if you're a doctor, whatever it is, if you're in the medical field, you have to do continuing education. You have to. It's part of the requirement for you to maintain your license and all of that jazz. So my mom was a specialized type of nurse. She worked in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit. That's where the sickest of the sickest babies go. And she consistently, I think like once a year or every other year, she would do these seminars, workshops where she has to go. And she would take me with her. I would cut school for several days and I would go with her and I would take notes. I would take notes, and she was happy about that because then, it ties into me becoming a doctor or a nurse. Little did I know my path as a healer would make me go far, far away from allopathic medicine. I would not know this for many, many years. But literally, my entire formative years, my teenage years, my young adulthood, it was focused on grooming me to become a medical professional. And for a good portion of the end of my teenage years and my early 20s, family doesn't understand your journey. They don't understand your path. It's not for them to understand. It's for them to create enough resistance that it empowers you. It's through the resistance, the friction, that you're gifted with the highest degree of potentiality. It's through that. You want an easy life? You're not going to grow as much. That's up to you. So I've learned to embrace the struggle. I'm very, very thankful. My mom's cray cray. She used to wake us up at like 5 a.m. for no reason. She would come in the room and she would wake you up and pester you and like, why are you waking me up? Well, she would say this, who will I wake up? People who are awake? I was like, this woman, So it's really conditioned me. Like if something needs to be done, if I'm sleeping, it don't matter. Get up and do it. And so it's prepared me for a lot of the different things that I faced as someone who is a self-taught healer. I was not taught by anyone how to be who I am. I've lived 40 something years undoing the program that caused me to believe that I have to hide who I am. I literally have been this way my entire life. I know I'm not the only healer that's like this, that has been this way their entire life, and you think you've had this moment of awakening. Did you? Or was that the moment of rebellion? Or you finally were just so sick and tired of playing along with other people and hiding who you actually are? I mean, a lot of people don't understand the things that you'll say, the things that you'll know. It's very scary. It's very, very scary for them. Very, very scary for them. I can go toe to toe with a doctor, a specialized doctor, and let them know, like, no, that's not the path you're supposed to take. That is not the course of action. That's not the course of treatment. No, that's going to be detrimental to the patient. And oftentimes, they'll like, they don't want to hear it from me. If they find out before I talk that I'm a stay-at-home mom, they don't want to hear it from me. But if I don't say anything about what I'm doing for my job and I talk to them, they respect that. Why? Because they think I'm a doctor. They ask me where I did my residency. At home. At home. I'm a stay-at-home mom. It's one of those things where people who have put so much effort into becoming something, it's so, so hard for them to see you not having the license, not having the formal training, not having the certificates, the plaques, all of these things on your wall, the initials, the letters after your name. Uh, like you can't possibly be my equal. Oh, the reality is I'm beyond your equal. You're not even my equal. Because here's the thing, I can learn everything you know with a library card and internet access. Can you learn compassion to the degree that I exist at? Okay. So then that doesn't make you my equal anymore. If you can't listen to someone, if you can't hear the kind of pain that they have telling you what they're going through, what are you really then? What's your objective? What, to quiet the symptoms? I don't care about symptoms. It's not my goal to quiet the symptoms. The symptoms are your body talking to you. It's telling you what's wrong. I want to know what's wrong. I want to know what is going on within your mind and your body that's causing you to feel what your body is communicating to you. That's why I'm really good at diagnostics. I can feel it. Years ago, I think it was, I don't know if it's 2012, 2013, something like that. It was years ago. My mom had decided she was going to go to the Philippines. My uncle, her brother-in-law, passed away. And like, you can't let my mom travel by herself. She's not allowed to travel by herself. She do crazy stuff. She's just a loose cannon. uh, Said like, you can't travel by yourself, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. So she's like, well, then come with me. And I was like, but my kids, I'd never left my kids before. And she goes, they'll be fine with their dad. And I was getting plane tickets. We needed to leave the next day. And then I started sobbing so hard because I didn't want to leave my family. And she goes, oh my God, why are you like this? And I was crying so hard. She was like, fine, I'll buy everyone plane tickets. Everyone's coming. So we all went. And obviously we were going for a funeral. So, it was kind of a hard visit. My grandmother was, I think she was already over 100. And I hadn't seen her since I was about 12 years old. This was going to be the first time I had seen her again since I was 12. And she was just very depressed, very distraught. And she had been crying in the room. We had been there a few days already. She'd been crying in the room. And, all of the adults, because I wasn't considered an adult, even though I was an adult, all of the adults, they were like, she's just depressed. She's just depressed. And then one of my other cousins is a licensed pharmacist, and they're trying to talk to her about what to give. And I'm like, no, she needs to go to the hospital. Because when I sat beside her and I touched her leg to kind of just rub her, I don't know what happened. It was kind of like the yellow school bus, that cartoon. Well, I don't know how old you guys are. There was this cartoon when I was little where the yellow school bus would be shrunk down and then they could like go on these adventures. So it was kind of like that, where I was suddenly shrunk down and I was traveling through her veins and arteries. I was smaller than the size of her red blood cells. And I remember entering into her heart chamber, weak. Her heart, it's not contracting properly. It's very weak, shallow type of contraction. And then I got ejected into the lungs. Oh no, she's building fluid in the lungs. And I was like, she's experiencing heart failure. Like, she's experiencing all of this building up in her lungs. And then at that point, I did like an edema test on her ankle. Her ankles were swollen. I'm like, she needs to go to the hospital. She needs proper diagnostics. She needs proper medication. She needs an echocardiogram. She needs chest x-ray. This can develop into pneumonia. She's depressed. Her immune system is depressed. And they're like, no, she just needs to rest. I'm like, she's going to die by tonight. I just blurted it out. She's going to die by tonight if you don't bring her right now. And everyone was like, oh, I said, I'm not kidding. She will die by tonight. She'll have cardiac, she'll go into cardiac arrest. She has way too much fluid in her body. Her heart cannot circulate that. And everyone was pissed off. Everyone was pissed off that I said that. Why? Because I'm not supposed to know that. I wasn't supposed to know. She'd been hiding from everyone that she's been experiencing palpitations and all sorts of heart based issues. Like, oh gosh. They took her, gave her some, I mean, it can be fairly easily resolved, water pills, let her rest, give her some sedation so that way, her emotions aren't so overwhelming for such, a frail body already. That's all you had to do. Unless you want to wait until her heart malfunctions and then you have to put her on really strong medication, because once that heart muscle fails, you're not retrieving that function again. It doesn't regenerate. And, they ended up taking her to the hospital or to the doctor or whatever. And they got her some of the meds that she needed. And then she was fine after that. But yeah, people don't like it when you can assess things very quickly. They don't like it. They don't like it at all, especially if they're in that medical field. They don't like it. I remember I had been doing a lot of energetic work with my mother. This is when she first got sick back in 2016. Before she got sick, I was living in Colorado already. And Michael's been with me my whole life. It's not anything cool. People are like, who's Michael? Archangel Michael. Big whoop. He's been with me my whole life. He's talked my whole life. Like some people think it's a novelty. It's a PETA. It's a pain in the butt. He's a pain in the butt. So he had been talking to me. He had been telling me for like a year or so around 2015-ish, that I would need to step into a role as a healer. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to. No, I don't want to. You would have to know someone that I trust very, very deeply and be referred by them to me, directly from them to me, them talking to me, asking on your behalf to talk to you in order for me to talk to you. Short of that, I'm not telling you what I do. None of that. I'm not admitting to nothing. Deny everything, even just the other day, I was at like a store with some really good friends, and the store owner kind of comes up to us to have some conversation. And he's asking all of us like what we do for work. I wouldn't answer until he finally put me on the spot at the very end. Was like, well, what do you do for work? And I was like, um, I subatomic attunement. He's like, what's that? Energy work. Subject change. So yeah, it's just one of those things. And he had told me starting around 2015 that I need to step into my role, and I didn't want to. So by the end of like end of 2015-ish, I told him, all right, I have some requirements. If you're going to make me do this, if this is something that I have no choice but to do, excuse me, first and foremost, my kids need to be comfortable if you're just going to have me bouncing around the whole country. I want an RV. I don't even care if it's new or what. I don't care. I want an RV so my kids don't have to be in a car for hours on end before we get to the next hotel. And he's like, okay, that will happen. And I was like, okay. And then I said, second requirement, because I still don't trust you, you might be a demon horita. I used to tell Michael he was a demon. He doesn't care. He doesn't have to be careful. I was like, I don't know if you're a demon. I don't know if you're like encouraging me to do stuff. I don't know if I'm demonic. Shoot. We don't know, but I need proof. And so I told him I needed a patient that, I needed medical documentation. I needed a patient who's willing to let me help them and give me their medical files. They have to have a medically documented type of situation, and they have to be ongoing with their medical treatment and continuing with medical diagnostics. He said, okay. So my mom comes to visit us in Colorado for the first time. And it was just one cluster fluff of a visit, as expected. And randomly, my mom then just says, you should just take my RV. And I'm sitting in the front seat. She's sitting behind me. And I'm like, oh. And I turn around and I looked at her like, because Michael said, once you have this RV, you have to do what we're asking you to do. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Right. Because I hella like defiant. Yeah, sure, whatever. I will get that RV and I will. Well, then now I have the RV. We had to go to California to go pick it up. It's my mom's RV and she's from California. And gosh, I knew she was going to die. I knew she was. I knew. I knew she was supposed to have a massive stroke and that she would die. That was in 2015-ish, 2016. So we're entering California through Reno, Nevada. As we're approaching state lines, we stop at a gas station. I told her to wait for me. She didn't want to wait for me. I told her, I'm just getting the kids out of their car seats. Can you just wait? She didn't want to. So she went to the bathroom by herself. And I'm like, fine, go by yourself. I was pissed off. Go by yourself. I don't care. I'm not going to go in there. I'm just going to stay with the kids. And then my husband comes out and he's like, hey, something's wrong with mom. I'm like, whatever. What's wrong with her now? Like it's hell of cold. And he's like, she said she fell and hit her head. Oh, no, she said she fell and she's talking weird. And I'm just like, did she hit her head? And he goes, I don't know. So we rush into the restaurant. And she's talking with a stroke slur. I don't know if you guys know what that is like. When you have a stroke, depending on where it is in the severity, it'll affect your ability to talk, the tonal quality of your voice, pronunciation, all of that. Only thing I saw was her sitting there looking a little bit confused. And I'm like, did you hit your head? And she goes, no, I caught myself. And I was like, are you sure? Did you hit your head? She goes, no, because I could already feel there's something going on in her head, like some sort of bleed or something. And we help her to the car. She's walking a little bit weird. She sounds weird. I'm like, well, you need to go to the ER. She said no. She said no. And I was just like, whatever then. Whatever. You don't want to go? Whatever. And we got to her house. It was maybe like 3.5 hours or so to get to her house, which we got there. And cleaning out the car. And I'm like, oh my God. Did she pee in the seat? I was pissed off. I was like, oh my God, I think she peed in the seat. And I'm texting my friend, like, my mom makes me so mad. I think she peed in the seat. And I was telling my friend what happened in the morning. She's like, she had a TIA, I bet. And I was like, oh, that's what I felt in her head. So I go back in and I'm like, now I'm actually yelling, you better go to the ER. And she's like, no, she's a nurse. You can't tell a nurse anything. You can't tell a nurse anything. If you know a nurse or if you are a nurse, you know what I'm talking about. You can't tell a nurse nothing about their health. And she refused again. And I was just like, fine, whatever. So I'm in the RV and I'm starting to gut things because that was a thing. I needed to gut the whole RV in order to make sure there's no mold anywhere because my kids are sensitive. and I'm gutting the RV, and I just hear this like really bad scream inside the house. It's already getting dark. And I run in, and what I see is my kids with my mom on the floor, and my oldest son is trying to help her up, and it's almost like she can't get herself up, and like the tables and everything were like strewn everywhere. I was like, what the hell? And I decided to do like the you know how firewomen, they're taught how to drag people from the back. I didn't go around to the front of her. I picked her up from the back. I basically was like a squat. I squatted her up, and I dragged her onto her walker. And my brother came in. He's like, "Oh, you're okay. You're okay." Remember, I'm still in back of her. Oh, he's like, "She's okay. She's okay." And I go over to the front. Half her face looks melted. I'm like, "She's not okay. Oh my god, she had a stroke. Call 911." Oh my god, she had a big stroke. She had a big stroke, and that was the thing. Yeah, she was supposed to die that night. I know that. I know that. She was supposed to die that night. I couldn't let go. So, interesting story turns really, really unbelievable. I went with her to the ER in the ambulance, and uh, she was unresponsive, and she was on the table, and I worked on her. I did some work on her brain and her vitals, and I could feel that my kids could feel me doing work on her, and I knew they were going to be worried. I looked at my phone, and my phone was nearly dead. I drained all my battery working on her in maybe like 5 minutes or so. Um, a few other things too that I don't want to share on this live stream, but I went to the car and I got my charger and my power pack and back into the hospital. And when I came inside, I was gone maybe like 5-10 minutes. When I came inside, she was sitting up with a nurse. She was talking to her. And I was like, oh, you are so irritating sometimes. I said that to her. She's like, I said, I told you to go to the hospital earlier. You won't listen to me, you know? But she seemed okay. She seemed fine. She seemed fine. And from that moment on, for the next month, maybe 2 months, her and I were in and out of that hospital. She would stay several days at a time, stroke after stroke, heart attack after heart attack. Um, Doctors didn't know how she was staying alive. The final stroke that she had, um, we had gone to her primary care physician, and her primary doctor was pissed. Was pissed. He was pissed because apparently he had accidentally called my lovely father, who then proceeded to tell him that I was actively trying to murder her. God, because he didn't want her to live with me. Um, and so he was mad, and he was like yelling, and my mom starts crying. She's really upset. She's very private. And I see her face droop and then go right back. And I said to the doctor, like, did you see that? And he says, no. See what? And it's like, you didn't see that. Her face drooped. And he said, well, I didn't see it. But if you say you saw it, we're calling 911. And I was like, well, no. If you didn't see it. He goes, no, we're just calling 911 because of her history. So he calls 911. We're waiting to be transported back to the hospital. And she has another set of all of these tests, MRIs, all of these things. And she seems fine. She's just really upset that my dad did that. And then the neurologist comes in. At this point, they all know me. I'm the doctor daughter from Denver. First off, I'm not from Denver and I'm not a doctor, but that's the whole hospital knew me. Oh, that's the doctor daughter from Denver. I don't know who y'all were talking to, but they lied to you. Anyways, so not the cardiologist, the neurologist comes in with his computer, and I'm like, she had another bleed, right? And he goes, yes, she did. And I was like, was it, and I told him the area. And he stops typing and he turns around, he looks at me, he's like, did someone else come in here before me? And I was like, no, you're the first person here. And he goes, how do you know that? And I was like, oh, I'm just asking. And he goes back to the notes, he reads the notes, and he says, so the notes say that you saw um, this side of her face drooping, but you're asking me about that part of her brain. And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, when you have a stroke, which you probably already know, it affects the opposite side of your body. So if you have a stroke right in here, you're going to have drooping on the left side. And I was like, I know, but is it right in here, about an inch and a half into her brain? And he goes, how do you know this? Huh? That was my reaction. What? He goes, I've noticed you've every time your mother comes in here, you're with her. We actually don't even know how she's still alive at this point. What are you doing at home? And I was like, nothing. Nothing. What do you mean? And he's asking me all these questions because they can't figure out, why is she alive, first and foremost? And secondly, why does she have all her function? She's still able to stand. She was able to take a couple steps. She was weak. Her body had been through a lot. Her swallowing function had been affected. But she had all her functions still. Minimal type of injury, it seems like, especially with the way the bleeds were. And then he looks at the history of her MRIs and he's like, I've seen your mother a lot. Some of the bleeds aren't registering. And he turns around and he looks at me and he's like scratching his head. He's like, are you giving her supplements of some kind? And I was like, no. It takes a while for a brain bleed to clear up. It takes a while for that to be reabsorbed. I had everything I needed. Had everything I needed. I was able to reverse heart failure. I was able to stabilize kidney failure. I was able to reverse brain bleeds. I did nothing but try and help. I didn't cause any injuries. The price paid was profound. The price my mother and I paid for the confirmation that I needed to prove to me what I already knew was profound. The amount of suffering she experienced just so I could know. And because I still would not have stepped into my purpose. My toxic father, a raging narcissist of a man, he had his role in my development. If it wasn't for him and his wickedness, He drove me out of California. He's the reason I cut off my entire family, everyone that I knew. He's the reason. He's the reason. And in those years that I was gone, what else was left to lose? Everyone I know outside of my husband and kids, gone. There was nothing left to lose. There was no anchor that kept me feeling as though I couldn't step into a role that I was born to step into, a role that I was born to fill, because my loyalty to the person, the people who grew up with me expected me to be, that was gone. That was gone. The price that you pay to step into your role as a healer. Right, Marcella? She was my patient that I asked for. Funny thing is, I had a friend with MS who she volunteered. I had known her since my oldest was like 18 months old. Like we've known each other a long time. And I had made a Facebook post asking, does anyone want to be my patient? These are the requirements. You have to have a fairly serious medical condition that's been documented thoroughly. And you have to be willing to share with me medical records. She volunteered. There's no reason it had to be my mom. That's what I thought. Until I realized anything short of her, I would not have done any of that. I wouldn't. I wouldn't have done any of it. I would have been like, oh, yikes. I'm so sorry. Life happens in cycles, even for healers. Even for healers, even for those who are extremely advanced in their understanding and acceptance of their purpose. Life happens in cycles. Knowing all of that, being able to do the things that I did with her when I came back after years of being away. Gosh, you'd think I would have learned. Mm-mm. No, the only way to truly learn is by living life. So I went through it again, this time with my brother. This time I didn't interfere. It weighed very, very heavily on me because I was aware my mother was supposed to die that first day. That was one of her exits. You have many exits in this lifetime, not just one. You're not destined to die just one time. You have multiple opportunities to choose from. You get to decide. You get to decide. So she decided she wasn't going to go that day. I decided I wasn't going to hear that. I decided I was going to blame myself. As someone who feels deeply, oftentimes there's no other option but to blame ourselves, right? That's what we think. We blame ourselves for doing something. We blame ourselves for not. We blame ourselves for doing something too soon. We blame ourselves for doing something too late. We just nothing but blame, 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 blame. I'm not immune from that. I'm just not. I'm not immune. And so I go through these cycles. Yeah. After she finally passed in 2019, um, another cycle started. It was harsh, harsh, very harsh. And I needed to remember that there was nothing that I did, as much as I try and convince myself that I overrode her sovereignty, forced her to stay, and this and that. There was nothing that I did that she did not consent to. In 2019, I transported her to Colorado. She was going to live with me. We were recovering so much of her function, her quote unquote paralyzed leg that was not paralyzed when I left her the first time. That's not from the stroke, it's because she gave up. Function was returning. Her physical therapist was amazed because function was returning. She could feel the muscle twitch. And we did all this hard work, physical therapy every day, her and I. We got her joint mobility back. She was able to bend her knees at a 90-degree angle. That was a deal. If you cannot sit up, you cannot come live with me, because how am I going to transport you? Right? That was the deal. So she worked so hard for that. We get her to Colorado. I think she just wanted to know that I wasn't still in the RV. It was an old RV. I think she just wanted to know. She stayed with me a month. And then she started to refuse physical therapy and medication. And it was this thing of, she knew, I can't fight the entire state of Colorado. They don't have enough minorities there. Unfortunately, in the state of Colorado, if you're an elder and you can't take care of yourself, you go into an old person home. Unfortunately, I'm not that way. In my culture, you take care of your elders, even in a hospital bed. You get a hospital bed in your home and you take care of them at home. And when she did that, there's no medical transport to a hospital for her dialysis. So I told her, you have to go back to California then, which I knew she wanted to. I also knew if she did, she'd die. So I brought her back. A month later, she died. I knew I could have kept her alive. I knew I could have got her walking again. But did she want to? She just wanted to make sure I wasn't lying, that we were okay. So she went back to the only home she knows, California. And a month later, she was gone. And that weighs very heavily on someone who is very aware. How can you not blame yourself? Right? How can you not take some sort of heavy portion of that responsibility, that blame? You can't. You can't. But the fact still remains. She was done a very long time ago. And she held on, waiting for me to come back home. She needed to know. And she did. And in the time that I spent with her, it was about 7 months that I took care of her, changed every diaper, bathed her every day. um, yeah, it was this thing of experiencing the opposing polarity of what I grew up with. The don't be weird, don't say things, you're scaring people, to her bragging to her friends that her daughter does the third eye stuff. The third eye stuff. I'm like, stop telling people that. Where she was actually proud. She was proud of the woman that I've grown to be. See, part of being a healer is not just healing other people, it's allowing other people to help encourage or trigger you to heal yourself. Definitely still in the process of self healing. Don't think I'm ever gonna. That empty feeling that only a mother could fill, that's never gonna go away. And if we're gonna be honest, I don't want it to. I don't want it to go away. That's definitely the part of me that's just like her. The part that seeks to fill the void by helping other people. Should it go away? I don't want it to. Is it evidence of me breaking? No. It's evidence of me breaking open and allowing more of my truth to come out. So, part of my lineage, you guys have heard me talk quite a bit about how I come from a line of brujas, right? Oh my gosh, my grandma would totally slap me if I said that. If she heard me say that, she'd slap me. No, she wouldn't. I'm her favorite. I am, though. I'm her favorite. It's the truth. So, my grandma's father, this is on the maternal side, my mom's side. My mom's grandfather, my grandmother's dad, he was extremely gifted. They lived in small villages in the Philippines. And if you were missing livestock, like say your water buffalo went missing, you would go to him and he would tell you. He had the ability to geolocate. And he also had the ability to heal. He was a shaman, like full on medicine man of his village. My mom had told me stories of she had like a tumor, I think right here or something like that when she was a kid. And they brought her to a doctor, and the doctor said it was terminal. And her grandfather went and got some leaves, and I don't know. And she said he chewed them up and he spit them out, and then he put it on her face. And then the next day when she woke up, it was gone and it never came back. And she was fine after that. Um, so he had very advanced healing capabilities as well. And then my grandmother, his daughter, my mom's mom, my grandmother, she just knew a lot of things. She had a very green thumb. Um, she just, yeah, just a lot. And then my great grandmother, my grandmother's mom, she had violet eyes. Her eyes were purple. And she was just she used to put Vicks on our eyes. She thought it was hilarious. We were toddlers, and she used to put Vicks on our eyes. Like, what the hell, lady? And we would scream, and she would crack up. I don't know. She was in her hospital bed at home, so and then the adults would tell us, "Why do you keep going to her if she's going to do that to you?" Well, because she calls us. Oh my god, it was just fun little memory. But I distinctly remember before she became bedridden, my great grandmother. Um, well, by the time like I was around, um, she was, I think, in her 80s already, and her eyes didn't look purple anymore. I remember her eyes being like spots of like almost like a glacier blue, and then areas that looked kind of like emerald and hazel. It was just her eyes were crazy. But I remember she would walk up and down the block where they lived on a court. In the morning, she would walk up and down the block to get her exercise and she would come home. And one of the days that I had slept over the night before, she went out the front door, went for her walk, and she came back and she had a big ass macaw on her shoulder. She had a macaw, a freaking huge parrot on her shoulder. And I was just staring at her what is that? Apparently, while she was walking, it just landed on her shoulder and wouldn't get off. And she was just like, fine, you come home with me then. So she had a macaw for a few years. Yeah, we don't know whose macaw it was, but it just landed on her and then she kept it. So I come from a long line of people who just have profound abilities. Um, for me, because it's and this is my understanding, okay, not what I was told, but my understanding of my specific lineage. The whole ancestral line has varying degrees of gifts, right? But there's always one in each generation that receives the accumulation of all the ancestral ability. I'm that one in our generation. I'm that one. So yeah, I'm the weird one in the family. I just am. But yeah, it's definitely it's been a very interesting journey for me, going from this place of fear and hiding who I am and what I can do to a place of, you know what, I am who I am. If you have a problem with it, you need to go and file a grievance with God, because God's the one that created me. I don't exist outside of the realm of divinity. I exist as a testament to its totality. I just do. You know, people sometimes will come on the live streams and it'll irk me because they will do these comments where they're quoting scripture and, you know, all of these different things. And in reality, all they're doing is spewing hatred. And it's like, I'm closer to God than you are. How many people have you fed today? How many tears from the eyes of strangers have you wiped? Then don't effing talk to me about anything in the Bible unless you live in the way Jesus asked you to live. Don't talk to me about any scriptures. Just don't. And we need to get to a point as individuals and as a collective whole where we can come together, form a circle, an entire circle where there's no break in it. There's no missing person. Each of us a link to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. And we can really harness a type of energies that completely shift the trajectory of the human evolutionary path. It's time. It's time. The world heals itself. It's not healed by one person or two or three or 100 or 144,000. And yes, I'm part of the 144,000 that were tasked to come here and reignite everyone else's flames. That's what the 144,000 were supposed to do. They're not here to be saviors. They're here to exist as a testament to what you failed to remember. They're here as reminders of how powerful you actually are. Why do you think it's so important for me personally to know that you see me as your equal? You don't need to be able to work energy like I can. You don't need to be able to bilocate. You don't need to be able to do all the things. But Emmie, I can't do what you do. That's because you're not meant to do what I do. Does that make you less? No, it doesn't. We have to let go of these programs that cause us to believe we are just inconsequential, irrelevant. Have you ever had a sweater, your favorite sweater, and it get caught on something and now you have a snag? Is that sweater now ruined? Kind of feels like it, right? Yeah. All because of one string. All because of one string. So I gotta let you guys know, I'm gonna be going on to the member portion of my website, thesoulsanctuary.love. We're going to take this conversation to a whole nother level privately off of YouTube. If you would like to be a part of that conversation, I invite you to join my membership. You can access it at thesoulsanctuary.love. It's the website on the screen. If you're listening, the Soul Sanctuary.love, and join whichever membership you want. We'll have an exclusive talk with each other. Okay. You guys, I want to open this up and you guys ask me whatever you want about my story as a healer. If you want to see if, we've experienced similar things, whatever it is, just ask away. Let's see. Was there a specific point or happening lately that made you decide once and for all to step into your purpose? Oh, gosh. Yikes. Okay, so Annie says, was there a specific point or happening lately that made you decide once and for all to step into your purpose 100%? Because we can all see and feel it, your change. I don't know. I think I just woke up one day and I was like, I'm tired. I fight too hard. I'm just tired. Oh, yes, there was. Oh, wow. So, Annie, to answer your question, was there a specific point or happening that made me decide once and for all to step into my purpose? Marlene. Marlene made me aware of a situation that doesn't involve me per se. It is something that I can feel energetically, and I think it has to do with that. Yeah, it has to do with the arrival of Marlene, November 20th, in the middle of a live stream. That's what it has to do with. It's this realization of, you know what, I'm done with the cycles. One of us is going to have to step out so the other one can as well. You know what I mean? Just really like step into the truth and allow that to unfold however way it does. And that, I think that's what did it. Wow, thank you for that question, Annie. I didn't realize that. Let's see. Does one automatically know they are part of the 144,000? I feel with this, like, it doesn't matter if you are or aren't. And people might be like, oh, that's easy to say because you know that you are. And what did that do for me? What did that do for me? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. It didn't activate any abilities or any of that. It's much better to no longer need to identify as something outside of human. That's one of the most powerful things I did in my self healing journey, to stop trying to hold on to all these different labels. Like, yes, I'm Arcturian, I'm Oraphim, yes, Lyran, Syrian, Elohim, yes, yes, yes to all of that. I've lived so many lives. Yes, I've been Hopi elders. Yes, all of this, all of that. I've been part of Navajo. I've been all like, who cares? Like, who cares? None of that's going to help me live to the greatest degree that I can live in this life unless I'm fully present in this life. So, what's my focus now? Are there parts of me that need my attention? Are there aspects of me that were injured once upon a time that need me to heal it now? I can't heal everything all at once, but as things rise up in my field of awareness, that then positions me to be able to begin addressing that, and then that, and then that. And then next thing you know, you're a completely different person, balanced, centered. So, does one automatically know they're part of the 144,000? The ones that I know don't adhere to that. Excuse me. Though the people that I know who are part of the 144,000, they don't talk about that, not because they're ashamed, but because it's irrelevant to them in this lifetime. So I guess that's a telltale sign. If you know about the 144,000 and you're kind of just like, that's cool. What's on the next page? That's probably a really good sign. Let's see. Have you had the TV, radio, and people talking all connect at one time? Yes, I've had that happen before. Um, Oftentimes, also the TV, radio, random people, random posts on the internet, it will have a full-on conversation with me. One of the ways my soul communicates to me, um, I'll just go on YouTube, and it's the suggested videos page, that homepage, and I'll just read the titles all the way across, and it reads as sentences, like straight up sentences on the very thing that I want an answer for. Songs, all sorts of different ways. Let's see. Wait. Maria says, I don't know why I have something considering Marlene. She irritates you. Probably because you felt she was disrespectful to me by like insisting. I'm very tolerant of people. Like I could totally understand Marlene was having her issues because of her concern as a mother for her grown son. So it had to do with that. And because it wasn't just like her being, disrespectful, she was being a mama bear, and that was it. I do the same for my son? Absolutely. Absolutely. So then I can't be mad at her if I'm seeing it from a mother's perspective instead of the first person. And I'm sure that's probably what you're feeling. Uh oh wow, Brandy. I mean, when I was a little girl, I had a vision and I believe you were in it. You know, what was your vision? Super curious. How do you handle the scary things you can see or hear? Like sometimes I'm just so freaked, I start wishing it away. They used to attack me quite a bit. That's why I'm so advanced with my parasitic extraction understanding and techniques. They tormented me for much of my life, like childhood, young adulthood, for a very long time. Um, at one point, we were in the RV camping in the woods, and something ripped my eyelashes out and busted my lip. Like my lip was bleeding. It actually, my lip split open, and I was bleeding. So yeah, it's one of those things. I've been bitten. I've been shoved downstairs, dragged by my hair, all sorts of different things, and it's just I went through a period where I intentionally blinded myself because it was scary. There's nothing scarier than not seeing what's coming at you and from what direction. There's nothing scarier than that. Oh. So I no longer blind myself. Now I'm more of like, you want some? Come get some. Now I'm saying, you want some? Come get some. That's my stance. um, let's see. I asked once, is it possible for something to piggyback on someone who is under total anesthesia during surgery? I thought I answered you before. It's possible. It's possible, but it's very, very rare. And that's usually like they're probably an organic portal, or they've stepped out and now you have a walk-in. So that for surgery, yeah, it's possible. For the I think I don't know if it's more minor surgery or what. Like one of my kids had dental surgery, and they used what the heck did they use? Ketamine. They used ketamine. And oh gosh, it was like, oh, he was so out of it. And within 5 minutes, he was right back. And he was telling me all kind of stuff. Like he said he went through, he didn't know this, but he's describing it's like the umbilicus to enter into creation's consciousness. That's what he was describing to me. It was pretty profound. I was like, whoa, yeah. And he was talking about all the colors, and he was pulled out of his body, and like, yeah, he remembered all of that. It was crazy. So ketamine, if people do ketamine, you're more likely to get like a walk-in or parasitic infestation. Leanne says, do you see them as well as feel them? Yes, I also hear them, and I sense when they're cloaked. I sense a lot of different things. Sorry, Annie. You probably have earbuds. Brandy says it was a community like Native American, teepees in the distance, but also modern things like trucks, lots of people. Oh my God. I was literally just thinking this morning. The sanctuary that I will be building, the physical sanctuary, eventually it will happen. It will have smoke lodges. It will have that. And I'm wondering if that's what you are seeing. I'm looking so deeply into rammed earth houses, sustainability, all of these different things. Yeah. So pretty sure you were seeing the sanctuary. See, these things have been set into play for a very long time, a very, very long time. These are things that I've seen and fought since I was a childhood. Like I realize now, like, so my father is obviously narcissistic, and he's very focused on the monetary. Because of that, I like hate money. I hate money. Like I dress this way. He says I dress homeless. He says I dress homeless, and I dress this way. Like anything that he tells me to do, I will do the opposite. I'm not even joking. He tries to force me to like golf. I hate golf. I hate golf. Everything. But that's also a beautiful thing because I see that, you know, if I will be as financially secure as I need to be in order to have all of these projects and the foundation and everything, I can't be unhealthy with my money in that way. Right. And it's huge for me to even say my money. That's like, but that's the thing. Like I have to be comfortable with taking ownership of it if I want it to find its way to me. And why would I want it to find its way to me? Well, because we need that in order to change the dynamic of the world. So it goes back to this thing of like, we experience everything that we need to experience. Everything. We need to experience everything in our life the way we experience it in order to create the person, the personality the perception that we have to be who we need to be. Okay. Uh, Wait, what? Who wore a button up shirt that looked like a referee shirt? Me? You believe that there was smoke coming out of the teepee? Yes. It has to come at the top. You can't breathe in the smoke. You just want the heat. But yeah, I've lived so many of my lives as native in so many different continents. I've been indigenous for most of my life. I've been an indigenous type of. Uh, Maybe one of these days I'll share with you guys some of the lives that I've lived. They're crazy. It's a crazy life. Let's see. So do I know anything about my father's lineage? I just know that they said my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, left when he was a child. I'd never met him. I don't know his name. Um, I believe because they said I don't know if he's like half Spaniard, something like that. Um, Something tells me he's from Basque or he has Basque blood. Um, I don't know if you know the Basque. I had a couple people over the years who have taken a look at me and they're like, "Oh my God, you look like the women from." I was like, "What does that mean? I hope they're pretty." Some people say that I have Basque features. I don't know. What ethnicity do I look like, you guys? It's just super curious because some people think I'm all sorts of different things. I'm Filipino. I'm Filipino. Let's see. Christy K says, "How can I have clear communication and have a better connection with my higher self?" Well, you have to be willing to hear the things you don't want to hear because your higher self won't sugarcoat things. It has a lot to do with holding you accountable. So oftentimes people struggle with their higher self connectivity because they don't want to hear it. So I guess, are you stubborn? Do you have any problems with people telling you, like pointing out aspects of you that don't paint you in a good light? Things like that. That will create a lot of issues hearing your higher self. Let's see. Um, Leanne, what are you asking about as an Egyptian? The Basque are from a region in Spain, I believe. And I think something like 20 or 30% of their population is Rh negative. It's a very specific gene pool. Um, yeah. Someone Because of all my like pregnancy symptoms and all of that, and just kind of the way that I am and my sensitivity to stuff. Like, if you really take the time to look through my hair, sometimes you'll find like bright red strands, like fiery red. Um, I don't know what I was talking about now. Oh my God, Michael said something, and in the time it took me to roll my eyes, I forgot what I was saying. Basque. Yeah. So I've had people tell me that I'm probably a quote unquote hidden negative, Rh negative, like I'm a carrier or something. I don't know. Because I think it's recessive. I want to say. I don't know. Um, let's see. Do you guys have any other questions? Let me see. I think Michael says there was another question up higher. Maria doesn't like Marlene. Cracks me up. Marlene says that's fine. Yeah. Hey, ladies, keep it civil. It's okay if you guys don't like each other. You don't have to. I like both of you still. Let's see. Where is it? Let's see. Where? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna stop scrolling. He says to keep scrolling. Okay. Oh, it's Annie. If you don't mind me asking, your family in the Philippines, how do they view you? Do they know what you do for a living? um, I don't know how they view me. During that funeral, um, they they made the comparison that I am a living female Constantine because so that was a time I got my tattoos, right? People ask me what these tattoos are. So this is a medallion, the front and the back. You see it? It's there because it seals my channels. There's pathways that enter your hands, and there's energetic repositories in your hands. That's why I got like a burn mark right here. My skin popped open because I don't know. And then right here too. So it's peeling again because I'm leveling up. It's removing the whole my whole hand's gonna peel within the next few days. It's gonna all peel off. So I can see where it's starting to lift up still. But during that period, one of my cousins is like a celebrity tattoo artist in the Philippines, right? And everyone was going to get tattoos. He's like really, really good. So I had said I was going to get a tattoo as well. And they asked me what I was going to get. And I told them the St. Benedict medallion because when I have it on me, I don't have as much demonic interference, right? And so I get it done. And it just so happened that was the time when Constantine, the movie, had come out. And after I had gotten it done, they're like, oh my God, you're Constantine. Kind of. Kind of. I would say whoever created Constantine has a really good grasp on fourth dimensional existence. Y'all like to go astral? That's fourth dimensional. Constantine. That's the movie. Go watch some Constantine. Okay. Um, let's see. I'm told that basically means reptilian. Is that true? If you're RH negative, that means you're hybridized with something else, alien of some kind. Doesn't necessarily mean, you probably mean draconian. All humans are hybridized. Why do you think there's no missing link? You're hybridized. Angelics are extraterrestrial. I'm not talking about aliens. I'm talking about they don't belong on this terrestrial plane. So therefore they're ET. It's one and the same to me. Let's see. Yeah. In one of my lifetimes, Brad, I was teaching schools of mages. I was teaching them chaos magic. Ta-da! Emmie, you're so chaotic. Yes. Yes, I am. Let's see. Do your past lives, yuck, it's Blair says, do your past lives interfere with the one you have now? Yes. Yes, they do. One of my lifetimes, I'm not ashamed anymore. I kind of still am. I kind of still am, but not super ashamed. One of my lifetimes, I have these memories, and so for a while, a long while, much of my life, if you make me really mad, I say I'm gonna shove it up your ass, right? I'm gonna shove it up your ass. I don't know what I'm going to shove up your ASS, but I'm going to shove something. That's like my go-to phrase. I shove it up your ASS. And then like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was speaking with someone, and there's a potentiality that I was Vlad the Impaler. That sucks. So I really did shove it up the butt. I really did for one of my lives. So now I don't say that anymore. I don't say that anymore. And I realize, I'm getting too comfortable in my aggression. I need to tone it down. So sometimes I have way more karmic bleed over. That's what I call it, karmic bleed over, where it bleeds into this lifetime. And other times I can exist just as a regular human being. Well, as regular as I'm going to be, a regular human being living this life. Someone just entered the room. Someone just entered the room. The door is closed, mind you. I think that's a good time for me to go. Let's see. Ooh, Sky Saunders. I had a rough delivery with my son in 2020. I feel it sucked all the magical energy from me. He's definitely a crazy magical being. Do you have any tips on how to feel like I can get me back in this? You might have to come to terms with the fact that you probably signed a Paladorian contract with your son, and that you were just holding his energy for him until he was born. There's that possibility. Now, magic comes in different forms. It might not be in the way that it used to be, but it can definitely be magical still. You can still be a magical person, a magical being. I would suggest taking my classes. I teach classes every Saturday. With that, it's just an ongoing membership where I just teach all kind of different things. These are things you're not going to find online. These are things from my Akashic memories. And that might help you. I've noticed a lot of people in my membership, they change over like a couple weeks, a couple months of being there. They tap into parts of themselves that they didn't think they could. And I'm just like, that's always been there. That's always been there. Yeah, chaos magic. There's different types of magic. Chaos magic is super potent because how do you negate it? It's chaos. It's cosmos. It's the energy that came and exploded before things were put in order. It's like it's stem cell magic basically. But I don't do any of that stuff in this life. I just don't. It's one of those things. I haven't come to terms with it yet, you know? Um, Ocean soul, I've woken up with bruises, broken teeth, and very odd pains during my life. I was alone and asleep. Could it be that I'm unknowingly fighting battles in my dreams, even though I don't remember? Is that still happening to you? It stopped already, right? I gotta get going, guys. Is that still happening, Ocean Soul? That sounds like, uh, do you have a demonic problem in the home? It doesn't sound like astral battles. It sounds like a demonic attack while you're sleeping. Most likely sedated, not asleep. Like it sedated you. So be careful with that, okay? Um, Ooh, speaking of soul contracts, would you consider doing an episode about what they are and the different types for an upcoming episode? I'll definitely consider it. I'll definitely consider that. Let's see. Dragons and draconians are two different things, Brad. So, um, unless they're Sakar, I would not play with draconians. Um, Only their Sakar 12th dimensional draconian peoples are are for peace. The rest, when it looks like I'm kicking ass on a live stream, that's whose ass I'm kicking. I wouldn't mess with them. They are very, very good at coercion. So, just be careful. I'm not saying leave your friend alone, but just be careful, okay? I got to get going, guys. I got to start my member chat. It's such a treat and pleasure to share this space with you guys. I appreciate I appreciate you guys so deeply. You've created right along with me such a sacred, sacred space where, quite possibly for the first time in my life, I actually feel okay just being who I am. And I think that's the most important thing for a healer, to allow yourself to either be immersed in an existing environment or create an environment where you can feel comfortable being you. All right. Now, we're all healers of some kind, all of us. Some probably more advanced than others. That's fine. They have a different purpose than you. You're not just here to heal other people, you're here to heal yourself. Okay. You deserve the type of love, support, and healing that you want other people to have. And I hope that's what we all choose during this 2/22/22 portal date. You can choose a lot of different things. May what you choose always grow you in the most compassionate, most loving way possible. I'll be doing a live stream later today, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Ooh, 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 y'all. Ooh, yeah. Hold up, hold up. You guys need some of this love. Pachakutek is calling me. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Before you go, I want to send this out. Hey, are you at my desk? Okay, could you grab me the jaguar sword? Bye. He told me his name is Pachakutek. Y'all know what that means? Pachakutek. So I want to show this to you guys and do a really quick energetic flood for all of you. If you can't make it to the live stream later today, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I hope this energy carries through for you for the rest of the week, and that you can feel some sort of peace, some sort of solitude that will allow for that stillness that's necessary to see and feel clearly. Got to get him out of his blanket. Pacha, wake up. Oh my gosh. I was playing with him the other day. Look at this. Hold on. I know, I had to protect you. Are you guys ready? Ready to see it? Feel it? Be it? This is Pachakutek. Look at him. Oh, Lord. He got rainbows in his herky. Oh, my gosh. Oh, Lord. All right. I want you guys to breathe very deep and very slow. It's already surging energy. Here we go. For those of you sensitive to energy, allow yourself to feel the greatness of you returning back to you. Feel your power. Feel your ability to heal. Feel your love for yourself. It's okay for you to love you. It's okay for you to love you, to take care of you and cherish you. It's okay for you to be the one to do it. It's okay for you to feel powerful based on your own hands and what you can do. Let your truth come back home to you. Let the truth of who you are and what you were born to do come back home to you. You deserve it, and we are waiting. Take a deep breath in, slow exhale out. How do you guys feel? I put him back. Oh my God, this one is so. Whew. Mm. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You make me sing. All right, guys, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. If you haven't already, give yourself a hug. Just really give yourself a hug. Allow yourself to feel your own support, your own love. Makes all the difference. Makes all the difference. I'll see you guys again very soon. I'll be live today at 2/22/2022 at 4:30 p.m. Excuse me, Pacific Standard Time. It's Pachakutek. That's Quechua. Hold on. Quechua for cataclysm and transform of the earth. He had me write this. 1 second, guys. He had me write. Oh, my name is Pachakutek. Through cataclysmic change, I come to transform earth. To wield my power requires the burning away of impurities, only by first passing through the flames of truth. Oh, Pacha. All right, guys, I gotta go. Members, I'll catch you over in the member section. See everyone very, very soon.